Yes. Yeah. Good evening, everyone. This side Dr. Abhijit, and I will continue. Yes, we will continue from where we left yesterday. So we were discussing about the abdominal muscles, right? I mean, the anterior abdominal wall muscles, and we have already discussed one of the muscles. We have already discussed one of the muscles that was the external oblique muscles. So in totality, we have to discuss the five muscles, right? So before starting with the other muscle, guys, good evening, Aditya, Abhi, good evening, Mehfooz, good evening, Osama, good evening, guys. Just give me a thumbs up in the chat box that the audio, visuals, everything is fine, guys. So I can start with the session. Yes, just give me a thumbs up in the chat box that audio, visuals, everything is fine. Sai Krishna Dasari, good evening, beta. Welcome to the session. Welcome to the session. So yes, yes. Hmm. Aditya says, yes, everything is going good. Yes. I hope no network glitches from my end. Yes. Hmm. चल ठीक चल Nurshid Alam, good evening. Yes. Dhanashri Javale, okay. Surveen, okay, okay, perfect. Perfect, guys. Shiv Kumar, good evening. Rutika Nayak, good evening, guys. So let us now, yeah, Hazira, good evening. Welcome, Hazira, to the session. Yes. So let us now Bulhan Daud, good evening. Krisma, good evening. So let us start with the internal oblique muscle, guys. Let us start with the internal oblique muscle. And as you already know, that every muscle, four things are very important. We have to discuss the origin, insertion, nerve supply, and action. Action as a whole, I will be discussing at the last. But for the time being, guys, for the time being, remember, yeah, let us start with the origin. Now, internal oblique or internal abdominal oblique muscle has two origins. It has two origins. Yeah, it has two origins. One, it is very well given that yes, it is arising from the thoracolumbar fascia. Okay, or I can simply say it is the lumbar fascia. It is the lumbar fascia, and you already know that the lumbar fascia, it is the deep fascia of the back. Okay, it is a deep fascia of the back. Archana, good evening, beta. It is a deep fascia of the back. Right, it is a deep fascia of the back. So, yes, if you can just see it over here, guys, that this white color, okay, this white color, it is a membrane. Yes, that is a fascia, and you can see it is situated at the back. So that is something which is referred as the thoracolumbar fascia, and this fascia, it is one of the origin for the internal oblique muscle, and this is one of the origin for the internal oblique muscle. Now, guys, the second origin, you already know this is the iliac crest. If you can just see it over here, it is the iliac crest. And we have yesterday learned the definition of the crest. Crest का मतलब क्या होता है? Thickened border. We already know the hip bone contains three parts, right? The ilium, ischium, and pubis. And in the ilium part, I have already told you that the superior most part, okay, the superior border becomes so thick that it is called as crest. And of course, it is a part of the ilium. That's why it is called as the iliac crest. That's why it is called as the iliac crest. Okay. So yes, remember that. Yeah. The other origin. Yes, it is the iliac crest. Iliac crest. And in the iliac crest, remember it, beta, it is the anterior. It is the anterior two-third, okay, of intermediate area. Anterior two-third, I've just not mentioned RD, two-third of the intermediate area. मैंने बोला था ना, we have the outer lip, inner lip, and the intermediate area. So it is the anterior two-third of the intermediate area of iliac crest. Okay, so the two origins. Yes, Bulhan Daud. Okay, yeah, special greetings. Okay, okay, beta. Thank you so much for watching the video. Yeah, so I hope this is clear now. Sure. Now, coming on to the next part, where is the insertion taking place? So we have to discuss the insertion also. The insertion. So remember, guys, over here also the insertion is both fleshy. Okay, insertion is both fleshy and aponeurotic. Okay, it is in the form of muscle fibers and also in the form of membranes, right? Aponeurotic. Yes, one mode. Yes, aponeurotic, right? In the form of membrane. So yes, remember that beta, the posterior part. Okay, the posterior part, it is inserted by fleshy fibers. It is inserted by fleshy fibers, okay, into last three ribs and costal cartilage. Last three ribs and costal cartilage. So फटाफट से बता दो, just tell me in the chat box which three ribs will be there. Which three ribs will be there? Okay, I'm waiting for your answer in the chat box. So just let me know which three ribs will be there. Okay. Ha. Chalo. Meanwhile, I'm writing the other part. Aponeurotic. Aponeurotic. I just want to actually know whether you have understand the concept of costal cartilage. क्योंकि मैंने बताया था it is present all over. Okay. So yeah, aponeurotic basically, yeah, it is by, yeah, a broad aponeurosis. A broad aponeurosis. Okay, a broad aponeurosis. Yes, Varun Kashyap, very good beta. It is 9, 10, and 11. It is 9, 10, and 11. So yes, a broad aponeurosis in the form of membrane. It is inserting into the 7th, 8th, and 9th. 7th, 8th, and 9th costal cartilage. Okay, 7th, 8th, and 9th costal cartilage. Along with that, we have the Zephoid process, beta. Zephoid process. Yes, everyone is right. Fun mode, Aditya, Osama, Rishi. Good day, beta. Good day. So it is inserted into 7th, 8th, 9th costal cartilage. Okay. Zephoid process and Linea Alba. Linea Alba. Linea Alba and pubic crest. Pubic crest. Okay. Pubic crest, and we have pectineal line. Okay. This pectineal line I will discuss in detail later on. Okay, this is the pectineal line. I will discuss in detail. No need to worry. अभी हम पूरा discuss करेंगे, so there is no need to worry. So I hope the insertion is clear. We have the aponeurotic insertion and the fleshy fiber insertion. Okay, so I hope this is clear to everyone. Now, if we come on to the nerve supply, beta, the nerve supply. The nerve supply, basically, lower, it is the lower six thoracic nerves. It is the lower six thoracic nerves. और फटाफट से yes, lower six thoracic nerves, and you have to, okay, first, okay, first, yeah, lumbar nerve. So it is the lower six thoracic nerve and the first lumbar nerve. So yes, Bulhan Daud, I have already shown in the diagram about the thoracolumbar fascia that is already depicting over here, right? And the other, you can easily see that we have the iliac crest. Please, this is the iliac crest, and the intermediate area of the iliac crest will give rise to the fleshy fibers of this particular insertion. Yeah. Krishna Nayak, good evening. Good evening. I hope this is done. So lower six thoracic nerves कौन से हो गए? फटाफट से you guys will tell me in the chat box what are the lower six thoracic nerves. जल्दी से lower six thoracic nerve from which nerve to which nerve? जल्दी से बताओ. So yes, I will start with the another muscle, that is the transverse abdominis muscle. Okay, transverse abdominis muscle. Yes, and remember guys, the transverse abdominis muscle has yeah. So yes, coming on to the origin of the transverse abdominis muscle. So remember beta, origin, basically we have postal origin. Okay, the origin are three: postal, lumbar and ilio-inguinal. Ilio-inguinal, ये inguinal canal वगैरह ना मैं सब कल पूरा अच्छे से डिटेल में बताऊंगा. I'll teach you everything in detail, so no need to worry about that, right? So yes, उस क्वेश्चन का आंसर नहीं आया है मेरे पास. जल्दी से आई वांट द आंसर्स आल्सो गाइस. आज लैग हो रहा है, फटाफट आंसर्स भी देते रहो. ठीक है, चलो. नाउ postal origin, basically yes, Kapil, good evening. Kapil, good evening. Postal origin, it is basically from the inner surface of lower six ribs. Lower six ribs. Okay, so they are interdigitating with the, yes, Varun Kashyap, you are right, very beta, right beta. 37 से होगा ना, 7 8 9 10 11 12, 6 नहीं होगा, lower 6 बोला है बेटा मैंने, lower 6 thoracic nerve, it will be from T7 to T12, right? हाँ चलो, very good, very good. It's good that you are answering the question. So yes, the inner surface of the lower six ribs, right? Or lower six ribs आपको पता ही है. Apart from that, we have one lumbar origin, and it is the thoracolumbar fascia. It is the thoracolumbar fascia, right? Thoraco, yes, Hazira, right. It is the thoracolumbar fascia. It is the thoracolumbar fascia. And apart from that, it is ilioinguinal in the sense that it will arise from the anterior two-third of inner lip. Anterior two-third of inner lip. इसको याद कैसे रखना है बेटा? Iliac crest है पूरा का पूरा. Outer वाले lip से external oblique muscle. Intermediate area we have the internal oblique. और बिल्कुल inner lip. Okay, coming on to the inner lip. It is what? Transverse abdominis muscle. It is transverse abdominis muscle. So yes. So yeah, the thoracolumbar fascia and the ilioinguinal part, that is the two-third of the inner lip of the iliac crest. Okay, and it is one-third coming from inguinal ligament. One-third coming from the inguinal ligament. So inguinal ligament, anyhow, I have already told you. Okay, it is extending from the anterior superior iliac spine to the pubic crest. Okay, and that ligament. Okay, one-third part of this muscle is actually arising from that ligament also, right? So yeah, coming on to the insertion part. Yes, fun mode, very good, very good. Yeah, Krishna, yeah, I'm just trying to make it in this part itself. Yes, insertion, guys, insertion. It is actually inserting into Zephoid process, okay, in the form of aponeurosis, Zephoid process, Linea Alba. Now, everyone will tell me in the chat box what is Linea Alba, guys. Okay, where the Linea Alba is present. We have the pubic crest and the pectineal line. Okay, we have the pubic crest and the pectineal line. Okay, so yeah, the insertion is like this. Okay, and the nerve supply. Coming on to the nerve supply, beta, it is again the same. Okay, nerve supply, lower six. Yes, white line, very good, Surveen, very good. Hitler, fun mode, very good, guys. Nerve supply remains the same, that is the lower six thoracic nerves Now, when I say lower 6 thoracic nerve beta, thoracic spinal nerve 7 say thoracic spinal nerve 12, right? So I've already told you these T7, T12 lectures, it is the thoracic spinal nerve. And along with that, we have L1, okay? The lumbar spinal nerve 1. The lumbar spinal nerve 1. Varun Kashyap, right? It is along the midline. Yes. So we have discussed the transverse abdominis muscle. We have discussed the internal oblique muscle. Yesterday, I have already discussed the external oblique. So we have completed the anterolateral flat muscles. We have already completed the anterolateral flat muscles. Now we will move on to the paramedian muscles, guys. Now we will move on to the paramedian muscles. Now, the paramedian muscles, basically, they are situated along the midline, okay, on the sides of the midline, and that's why they are termed as paramedian, right? So we have two muscles over here, rectus abdominis muscle and pyramidalis muscle. Rectus abdominis muscle and pyramidalis muscle. So let us understand these two muscles in detail. So rectus abdominis muscle. Now, beta, rectus का मतलब क्या होता है? That is actually straight. Rectus का मतलब होता है straight. Okay, rectus means straight. So yes, now remember guys the origin. Okay, now the origin, it is by two tendinous head. Two tendinous head. अब फटाफट से बता दो what do you mean by a tendon? टेंडन का मतलब क्या होता है? जल्दी से चैट बॉक्स में what do you mean by a tendon? Anakala, good evening बेटा. Welcome to the session, Anakala. Yeah. Aj, you are late today, Anakala. Anyways, so we have the two tendinous head. What do you mean by a tendon? Just let me know. Apart from that, guys, remember the two tendinous head. Basically, we have the medial head, and we have the lateral head. We have the lateral head. We have the lateral head. Yes, muscle to bone attachment. Very good. Very good. Hitler, yes, right. Anushka, right. Basically, beta, what is the main difference? Ki muscles have the property of contraction. Tendons do not have the property of contraction, right? So that is again one of the difference. Ek to pata hai, they help the attachment from the muscle to the bone. Otherwise, in other language, the muscles have the property of contraction. Tendons do not have the property of contraction. So we have the two tendinous head, the medial head and the lateral head. Okay. So the medial head, beta, it arises from the front. Okay, it arises from the front of symphysis pubis. Symphysis pubis, right? Symphysis pubis. Yes. Yes, insertion part of a muscle, non-contractile. Very good, Nitin. Very good. Roy, very good, beta. One more, very good. So yes, insertion, the medial head, it arises. बेटा pubic symphysis क्या होता है? मैंने आपको बताया था ये pubic bone है, ये भी pubic bone है. So when the right pubic bone and left pubic bone joins together, it will result in the formation of a joint, and this joint it is called as pubic symphysis. दो bones आपस में मिल रही हैं, two bones are meeting with each other and they will result in the formation of a joint, and that joint is called as the pubic symphysis. And from the front of the pubic symphysis, the medial head will originate. Apart from that, guys, remember the lateral head originates from the pubic crest. The lateral head originates from the pubic crest. इसी pubic पे you have a crest over here, बेटा. ठीक है, इसमें तो I cannot show much more. Yeah, we have a crest over here, बेटा. The lateral part पे ना crest होता है. I mean, on the pubic bone we have a crest, okay? Or the lateral head, the lateral tendon basically originates from this pubic crest, right? Pubic crest. Now, apart from that, if we come to the insertion, beta, if we come to the insertion, yes, beta, yeah, insertion, it is, yeah, into three costal cartilages, okay? Now, in the form of fleshy fibers, They are inserting into the front of fifth, sixth, and seventh costal cartilage. Seventh costal cartilage, and along with that, guys, the Zephoid process. Now, my question is, Zephoid process, it is at which vertebral level? Comment in the chat box, everyone. Zephoid process, it is at which vertebral level? The Zephoid process, it is at which vertebral level? I've already discussed it yesterday. I just want answers. Yes, Anushka, very good. Very good. So we have the Zephoid process. Yeah, perfect, beta, perfect. So yes, Zephoid process. Kriti, very good, very good. Hitler, very good. Yeah. So yes. Hmm. And remember, guys, the nerve supply over here. Nerve supply over here. So nerve supply, it is again T7 to T12. It is again T7 to T12. Right? Yes, everyone is right. Manish, Roy, Garima, Abhi, Funmode. Everyone is right. Everyone is right. So yes. Now, yes, everyone is right. Yes, yes, everyone. Hazira, Nitin, very good. Okay. Now, guys, over here in this picture, I want to like tell you something. Everyone knows about the apps, right? Everyone knows about the apps. And if I just want to highlight this, okay, if I'm just getting it like more darker color, okay, if you can see बेटा, ये जो apps बने हुए हैं, ठीक है, ये जो apps बनते हैं ना, 8 pack, 6 pack और ये, so these are actually tendinous intersections in between these muscles. These are tendinous intersections between these muscles. Okay. Now, if we like they are already like 3 pairs, right? They are already 3 pairs. So आपने 6 pack तो सबके सुने होंगे, 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, we have 6 packs, तो ये तो सबके सुने होंगे. But the thing is बेटा, the if the fourth one is incomplete or absent, ये सब में present नहीं होता. The fourth tendinous intersection, the fourth tendinous intersection, if it is incomplete or absent, that person can never have 8 packs in his whole life, even though वो कितनी ही जिम कर ले. So ये anatomy के according है, तो we'll just go with the anatomical parts. Okay, so yes. So if the tendinous intersection, the fourth one, okay, the fourth pair, if it is absent or incomplete, so that person anyhow cannot have that 8 pack insertion wala point. Even though there is something which is called as the linea alba. ये बीच में जो white line दिख रही है बेटा, if you can just notice this white line that I'm just highlighting with yellow color, this white line, it is called as the linea alba. But a linea alba receives insertion of every muscle, external oblique, internal oblique, transverse abdominus, and pyramidalis. But it does not receive the insertion of this rectus abdominis muscle. That is again a question, guys. That is again a question. So this linea alba receives insertion of all the muscles. We have like in the form of aponeurotic band, right? So we have the external oblique, internal oblique, pyramidalis, okay, transverse abdominis, but not the rectus one. That you have to like keep it in your mind. Okay. So we have discussed the origin, insertion, and nerve supply for the rectus abdominis. So you can easily see, okay, the tendinous intersections in between, and in between we have the white line. Okay, the white line, right? So coming on to the last one, that is the pyramidalis muscle. Now, yes, the pyramidalis muscle. So in the pyramidalis, Aditya has tried. Aditya is laughing because Aditya is a gym person, right? So Aditya anyways, so कितनी कोशिश कर लो आदित्य, अगर वो इंटरसेक्शन एब्सेंट है तो वो कभी नहीं बनने वाले हैं तुम्हारे, ठीक है. So pyramidalis, the very important thing beta, it is not always present. Okay, it is not always present. So like you have to be so yeah, it is not always present. So remember, it is a small triangular muscle. It is a small triangular muscle. It is a small triangular muscle and it is found actually superficial to the rectus abdominis. Rectus abdominis के ऊपर मिलेगा ये आपको, ठीक है? So it is located like inferiorly and you can already like tell me the origin. Okay, the origin it is from the pubic crest, okay, plus pubic symphysis. Can you see this? Pubic symphysis in between, and we have the pubic crest, right? So yes, pubic crest plus pubic symphysis, okay? And insertion, you already know that it inserts into the linea alba, okay? Insertion, it is inserting into the linea alba, that is the white line, right? Linea alba. And yeah, if we talk about the blood supply, right? The nerve supply, the nerve supply, it is the subcostal nerve, that is T12. Only T12, it is the innervation part or the nerve supply for this particular category, right? So in return, we have discussed the pyramidalis muscle. Pyramidalis kahan se? Pubic tubercle, pubic crest. I mean pubic crest, pubic symphysis. Insertion kahan pe? Linea alba. Nerve supply T12. In short, we have discussed the rectus abdominis. Rectus abdominis ka origin ka hai? It is downwards, guys. Rectus abdominis is originating down from downwards and it is moving up. Okay, we have two tendinous heads. Again, the origin remains the same. Pubic symphysis, anterior surface, and the pubic crest. इंसर्शन कहाँ है? इट इज अप 5th 6th 7th कोस्टल कार्टिलेज, ज़िफॉइड प्रोसेस ऊपर आपको दिख सकता है, ज़िफॉइड प्रोसेस है एंड वी हैव द 5th 6th 7th कोस्टल कार्टिलेज. Nerve supply T7 to T12. Transverse abdominis also done. Internal oblique muscle also done. External oblique muscle also done. So all the muscles of the anterior abdominal wall are discussed in detail. I have discussed all the 5 muscles. Okay, I have discussed all the 5 muscles with origin, insertion, and nerve supply. With origin, insertion, and nerve supply, you can get a, if you are a college student, you will get a short note on the muscles of the anterior abdominal wall, and that too, whatever, firstly you have to draw the table, then you have to like write all the relevant points that we have discussed in this particular part, right? Now coming on to the action of the abdominal muscles, okay? This action of the abdominal muscles, okay? So guys, it's again a very theoretical part. So you just have to remember that we have supportive action. Okay. So it provides an elastic support for the abdominal viscera against gravity. Apart from that, we have protective. Okay. It protects the abdomen, like the abdominal viscera. Now, when I say viscera, basically the abdominal organs, right? The stomach, the pancreas, spleen, okay, everything, the long intestine, the small intestine. Protective action, basically by reflex contraction, they help to protect the intra-abdominal viscera against external violence, right? Expulsive action, the muscles of the anterior abdominal wall contract simultaneously with the diaphragm to compress the abdominal viscera, thus helping in all expulsive acts like micturition, defecation, parturition, vomiting, okay? Apart from that, guys, remember expiratory action. You already know the external abdominal oblique muscle can depress the ribs, thus compressing the lower part of the thorax, producing the forced expiratory acts, as in coughing, sneezing, blowing. And the movement of the trunk. You already know the forward flexion of the trunk. It is by the contraction of the rectus abdominis muscle. The lateral flexion of the trunk, it is by one-sided contraction of the oblique muscles, and rotation of the trunk, okay, it is by combined action of external oblique with the opposite internal oblique muscle. So that is again in very short the action. So that is something which you guys have already, like, you know, just the name of the muscles are mentioned and the actions are like very, very easy. Okay. So yes. Yes. Now, now coming on to the posterior abdominal wall. So you guys already know, okay? You guys already know the posterior abdominal wall. the posterior abdominal wall. Okay, it contains the vertebra, the lumbar vertebra, and it contains the muscles. Okay, it contains the muscles. It contains the muscles. I hope the muscles of the anterior abdominal wall is clear to each student that is studying right now. So just give me a thumbs up in the chat box. Already Roy has given that. So I want everyone to just give the thumbs up so that I'm like aware that you already have like understood the clear concepts. Right. So before coming on to the posterior, अब हम बेटा पीछे की बात करें. I'm just talking about like the back side now. So already I've shown you in the picture yesterday that day before yesterday when we were discussing. So yeah, we have the lumbar vertebra beta right in the posterior part. So you can see the lumbar vertebra over here, the lumbar vertebra, and yes, with the lumbar vertebra we have some muscles attached over here. Okay, so lumbar vertebra and the muscles, they actually form the posterior abdominal wall. Okay, posterior abdominal wall. So we actually say it as osteomuscular structure. I've already made you write that it is a osteomuscular structure. Osteo means the bone, and which bone? It is the lumbar vertebra, right? Lumbar vertebra. So yes, बाकी रिप्लाई करते रहिए, just reply me, okay? And yeah, so let us now start with the I'll just discuss about the lumbar vertebra beta. So lumbar vertebra, you already know the parts. Okay, firstly you already know the parts. We have the vertebral body. So we have the vertebral body beta. We have the foramen in between, and that is called as the vertebral foramen, the space that is present over here, right? We have the pedicle part. We have the transverse process, right? We have, okay, we have the spinous process, okay, and we have the transverse process. So in the comment section, just tell me how many transverse process are present and how many spinous process are there in the lumbar vertebra, right? How many transverse process are there and how many lumbar, I mean, the spinous process is there in the lumbar vertebra. चलिए, हाँ, गरिमा ओके, हैदर, आदित्य ओके, हिटलर ओके, चल नाउ ओके ओके ओके, वेरी गुड वेरी गुड वेरी गुड गाइस, वेरी गुड वेरी गुड. चलिए, इजी वाला क्वेश्चन था. अगर कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स देखनी है बेटा तो इसको थोड़ा सा आप लोग यहाँ पे समझिए. द बॉडी इट इज लार्ज इन साइज. इफ यू सी इट इज किडनी शेप्ड. Okay, it is kidney shaped and has no costal facets, no place for any articulation on the body, right? So the body, if you can see beta, ये kidney shape दिख रही है आप लोग को body की. Okay, you can see the kidney shape of the body, right? Yes, everyone is right, everyone is right. Tanupriya, Varun, yes, Angel Matthews, Manish, Karima, Dimple D, Mehfooz, Kriti, Aditya, Manish, very good, very good, very good beta. So you are very well aware that this is the body. The vertebral foramen is small in size. Okay, the size is small and it is triangular in outline. You can see the vertebral foramen over here. It is triangular in outline. So it is how you will just identify the lumbar vertebra. Apart from that, the transverse process beta, it is flat. It is flat and elongated. Yes, yes, Roy, it is right. It is flat and elongated. We have the articular facet. Articular का मतलब बेटा क्या होता है? Joint बनाने वाला, joint बनाने वाला area. So that is the superior articular facet and the inferior articular facet. Okay. So superior articular facets are concave. Okay, and they are directed medially. तो वो क्या है? Concave है and they are directed medially. And the inferior articular facets are convex. Okay, they are convex and they are directed laterally. Okay. They are directed laterally. The spine is quadrilateral and projects directly backwards. You can see the spinous process. It is also called as the spine. Okay, so you can see the spinous process. Yes, it is quadrilateral and it projects directly backwards. Okay, now very important part that the fifth lumbar vertebra differs from the rest in having a thick strong transverse process which is attached to the pedicle. Okay, pedicle, you can see the joint attachment. So every transverse process in rest of the vertebra, like I'm showing you the L2 vertebra, L1, L2, L3, L4. So they all have like thin, if we say, the elongated and flat transverse process, but the fifth one, it is having a strong, thick transverse process, right? Strong, thick transverse process. Apart from that, now these are the structures which are attached to the bodies of the vertebra. So, like you don't have to remember them in detail. So, yeah, I'll share the slide with you. So, yes, coming on to the next very important part, that is the posterior abdominal wall muscles. Posterior abdominal wall muscles. Now, the first one beta that you have to like, चलो इतना क्लियर हो गया सब लोगों को, इतना क्लियर हो गया, फटाफट से एक चैट एक मुझे थम्स अप दे दो दैट एवरीथिंग इज क्लियर. एक थम्स अप दे दो दैट इज एवरीथिंग इज क्लियर. Now the posterior abdominal wall muscles, if you have discussed beta, we have to discuss four muscles. We have quadratus lumborum muscle. Yes, we have quadratus lumborum muscle. Yes, we have quadratus lumborum. Yes, psoas major. Very good, very good. Manish, Angel, Abhi, Roy, Dimple, Anushka, Garima, Hitler, Mehfooz, Aditya, Kriti, Hasira, Sarishta. Very good, guys. So the second one, beta, we have to discuss about the psoas major muscle. The psoas major muscle. The psoas minor muscle. The psoas minor muscle. And the fourth one, beta, it is the iliacus muscle. Iliacus muscle. Iliacus muscle. I'm going in very detail, guys. So yes, the iliacus muscle. So the very first one that we have to remember, okay, psoas major, minor, iliacus, and quadratus lumborum. So yeah, let us start with psoas major. No, not a problem. Okay. So yeah, remember beta, the psoas major muscle, it is located near the midline of the posterior abdominal wall. It is located near the midline of the posterior abdominal wall. Okay, immediately lateral to the lumbar vertebra. Okay, now when I say lateral to the lumbar vertebra, beta, so remember what will be the origin? Yeah, origin will be lumbar vertebra only. So remember the origin of psoas major muscle, it is originating from the transverse process. ट्रांसवर्स प्रोसेस अभी बताया है मैंने, अभी आप लोगों को पता है ट्रांसवर्स प्रोसेस एंड vertebral bodies of T12 to L5. Okay, T12 to L5, T12, L1, L2, L3, L4, L5. Okay, it is moving inferiorly, laterally, okay, and running deep to the inguinal ligament. Okay, and can you tell me which structure is this beta, which I'm just highlighting with A? Can you tell me, this is the femur bone, this is the femur bone, and this structure, can you tell me which structure is this in the chat box? Can you tell me which structure is this over here? So yeah, insertion. Yes, Anushka, very good. It is the lesser trochanter. It is the lesser trochanter of the femur. Osteology beta, lesser trochanter of the femur. Lesser trochanter of the femur, right? Yeah. And nerve supply. Nerve supply, remember, it is L1, L2 and L3 nerves. L1, L2 and L3 nerves. Yes, Roy, Manish, Hitler, Hazira, very good, right? Yes, it is the lesser trochanter of the femur, and the nerve supply, it is the lumbar spinal nerve 1, lumbar spinal nerve 2, and the lumbar spinal nerve 3. Apart from that, if we just focus on the action, guys, it helps in the flexion of the thigh. It helps in the flexion of the thigh. This I have already taught in the general anatomy video, beta. Flexion का मतलब क्या होता है? Flexion का मतलब होता है angle कम करना between the two parts, to decrease the angle between the two parts. Flexion of the hip, flexion of the thigh at the hip, right? Flexion of the thigh at the hip joint, right? So yes. Apart from that, coming on to the next muscle, that is the psoas minor muscle. Psoas minor muscle. Okay. Now, guys, it is said that psoas minor muscle, it is only present in 60% of the population. Okay, and it is located somewhat anterior to the psoas major. Okay, it is located somewhat anterior to the psoas major. Okay. Yes. हाँ चल, तो इसमें origin लिखते हैं फटाफट से. Origin, it is basically originating from the vertebral bodies of T12 and L1. T12 and L1, okay? And insertion, remember, it attaches to a ridge, okay? A ridge का मतलब क्या होता है? It attaches to a ridge. रिज का मतलब होता है बेटा लाइन, एक सिंपल लाइन को हम लोग क्या बोलते हैं? रिज. ओके, इट अटैचेस टू अ रिज ऑन द सुपीरियर ramus. फटाफट से ramus का मतलब भी बता दो. व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय ramus इन द चैट बॉक्स? सुपीरियर ramus. ओके, superior ramus of the pubic bone. Superior ramus of the pubic bone, and it is called as the pectineal line. रिज का मतलब ही क्या होता है? लाइन ही होता है ना, pectineal line. यस, रामस का मतलब ब्रांच हो गया. वेरी गुड अनुष्का, कंसेप्ट क्लियर रखा करो बेटा. नर्व सप्लाई, nerve supply, and remember the nerve supply, it is the L1 spinal nerve. L1 spinal nerve. हाँ ठीक है हिटलर. Now psoas minor is also done. Coming on to the iliacus muscle, beta. Iliacus iliacus is a fan shaped muscle. Okay, if you can just see iliacus, it is a fan shaped muscle. Can you see this, which I'm just trying to highlight it over here? Okay, if you just see this beta, ये वाला जो मसल है ना, इट इज, देखो ये जो जापानीज लोग पंखा नहीं लेते हैं, दिस फैन. ओके, दैट इज समथिंग व्हिच इज लाइक अ फैन शेप्ड मसल. So yeah, iliacus, this is basically a fan-shaped muscle, and it is situated inferiorly on the posterior abdominal wall. Okay, it is situated inferiorly on the posterior abdominal wall. Okay, so you already know that this one is the, चलो ये वाली बता दो, ये कौन सी मसल होगी? This one is which muscle? A क्या है and B क्या है? What is A? What is B? What is A? What is B? Chalo, I'm waiting for your answers. What is A? What is B? So yeah, meanwhile, I will just write down the complementary things. So meanwhile, I'm writing, just try to text the answer in the chat box. Now, iliacus, see, it originates, नाम से ही पता चल रहा है. Yeah, Varun says A is psoas major. Varun says A is psoas major. Yes, बेटा, origin देखो. वेरी गुड. इंसर्शन से भी पता चल रहा है ना बेटा. ऑरिजिन देखो. यस वरुण कश्यप, वेरी गुड बेटा. मनीष सिंह, वेरी गुड. ये ना स्पॉटर्स भी आते हैं, मतलब कभी कभार एग्जाम में, दे जस्ट गिव नॉर्मल स्पॉटर्स एंड यू हैव टू आंसर दीस क्वेश्चंस, राइट. इसमें तो गलती होनी ही नहीं चाहिए, ठीक है, इसमें गलती बिल्कुल नहीं होनी चाहिए. यस, स्पॉटर्स आर लाइक यू हैव टू करेक्ट इट एट एनी कॉस्ट. So origin is the iliac fossa, okay, and anterior surface of iliac spine, right? And insertion, देखो इंसर्शन इलियाकस का और श्वास मेजर का इट इज सेम. अनुष्का, गरिमा, मनीष, हिटलर, डिम्पल, वेरी गुड गाइस, यू ऑल आर राइट. इंसर्शन अगर देखा जाए बेटा इलियाकस का और श्वास मेजर का it is same. Okay, so yeah, if we talk about the insertion part beta, it is yeah inserting into the lesser trochanter of the femur. The fibers actually of the psoas major and the iliacus, they are combining with each other and they are inserting into the lesser trochanter of the femur, the lesser trochanter of the femur. Right, now coming on to the nerve supply of the iliacus part, it is L2 to L4. Okay, L2 to L4. And action you have to remember, yes, it is flexion and lateral rotation of the thigh. Flexion and lateral rotation of the thigh at which joint? At hip joint. Flexion and lateral rotation of thigh at hip joint. Flexion and the lateral rotation of thigh at the hip joint. So yes, iliacus done, psoas minor done, psoas major done. Now coming on to the last posterior abdominal wall muscle, and that is quadratus lumborum. Quadratus lumborum. So yes, now this muscle, if we talk about, it is located laterally. Okay, this is located laterally in the posterior abdominal wall, right? Yeah. Now can anyone tell me which muscle is this? बेटा नर्व सप्लाई और एक्शन याद नहीं होता. बेटा हमेशा ना एक चीज मैंने क्लास में भी बताई है, जब भी आप जनरल एनाटॉमी पढ़ते हो, वंडरफुल वर्ल्ड वेयर व्हेन यू जस्ट ट्राई टू रीड द जनरल एनाटॉमी, मोस्ट ऑफ यू लाइक ट्राई टू स्किप इट, बट ये बहुत जरूरी होता है कि आपको फ्लेक्शन क्या है, लेटरल रोटेशन क्या होता है, ये सब चीजों के वर्ड्स के मीनिंग क्लियर होना बहुत जरूरी है, और ये सब हम लोग जनरल एनाटॉमी में पढ़ाते हैं. दूसरी बात, मैंने आपको हमेशा ये बताया है कि द पॉइंट वेयर द इंसर्शन इज टेकिंग प्लेस, that is the site where the action will be produced. That is the site where the action will be produced. अगर मैं कहता हूं कि it is inserting into the lesser trochanter, तो कहीं ना कहीं ये hip joint के पास वाला एरिया है. Okay, so obviously बात है कि the action will be produced at the hip joint only, right? So yeah, that is the like key mantra that you can take from me for this particular slide, right? सो और नर्व सप्लाई है तो बेटा आपको स्पाइनल नर्व्स ही हैं, जो अगर पोस्टीरियर एब्डोमिनल वॉल लोअर पार्ट की बात करें तो वो सारे लुम्बार वाले ही आएंगे. ठीक है, एक्शन से आजकल क्वेश्चंस आने लग गए हैं बहुत ज्यादा, सो इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. आजकल सुप्रास्पाइनेटस का नीट पीजी में क्वेश्चन पूछा हुआ था, एक्शन क्या है, इंफ्रास्पाइनेटस का क्या है, तो ये सब चीजें मतलब यू हैव टू लाइक रिमेंबर द इंसर्शनल पॉइंट, और फिर तो एक बार तो उसको अच्छे से पहले समझना पड़ेगा ना, सारे एनाटॉमिकल मूवमेंट्स जो होते हैं, मसल मूवमेंट्स, उसको अच्छे से समझो एंड देन यू विल गेट एन आइडिया फॉर दैट. ओके, so yes, quadratus lumborum, basically it is, yeah, the origin of the quadratus lumborum, it is from the iliac crest, okay, and the iliolumbar ligament. Iliac crest, okay, and iliolumbar ligament. Now, can anyone tell me this ligament will extend from which bone to which bone in the chat box? Can anyone tell me this ligament will extend from which bone to which bone? Before that, like, I'll just complete the insertion. So the insertion, okay, they goes superomedially. Okay, ये ऊपर की तरफ जा रहे हैं and going towards medial. They are supermedially inserting into, okay, they are inserting into the transverse process, of L1 to L4, okay, and inferior border of 12th rib. Inferior border of 12th rib. Yeah, which part of the hip bone, Anushka? Which part of the hip bone? Hip bone का कौन सा part? ठीक है हिटलर वरुण वेरी गुड वेरी गुड चलो nerve supply, it is L2 to L4 nerves, okay, and actions, yes, extension, yes, the ilium, yes, very good Anushka, very good, extension and the lateral flexion of the vertebral column. Extension क्या होता है जिसमें whenever there is an increase in the whenever there is an increase in the angle between the two body parts, lateral flexion क्या होगा, ये सब बताया हुआ है, ठीक है, in the general anatomy. Yes. Meanwhile, there is one more action that is associated with Quadratus Lumborum. It says that it fixes the 12th rib during inspiration, okay, so that the contraction of the diaphragm is more efficient, right? So yes, that you have to remember. Fun mode right, fun mode right. Very good. So we have discussed the posterior abdominal wall muscles also. So yeah, the posterior abdominal wall muscles, quadratus lumborum, psoas major, psoas minor, and iliacus. So now guys, you will tell me in the entire abdomen, okay, when we talk about the anterior abdominal wall and the posterior abdominal wall, what is the total number of muscles present? What is the total number of muscles present? I want the number in the chat box. I want the number in the chat box. And yes, I want the number in the chat box. फिर ब्लड सप्लाई ऑफ द गट स्टार्ट करेंगे. वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक. और यहां से तो पेन्स बिल्कुल अपने तुम्हारे हाथ में होने चाहिए सो दैट बेटा दिस यू हैव टू रिमेंबर. उसके लिए मैं भी कुछ नहीं कर सकता हूँ. आई ट्राई टू फाइंड आउट अ वे. ओके, आई विल ट्राई टू फाइंड आउट अ वे. ओके, 9. Anushka, Hitler, Garima, very good beta. It is the 9. Yes, it is 9. So yes, abdominal aorta बेटा बहुत ध्यान से सुनना है, बहुत ध्यान से सुनना है. This abdominal aorta is very important, very important. Angel Matthews, very good. Sai Krishna, Garima, very good beta. So yes, I'm starting with the abdominal aorta wala part. Now guys, you already know that okay, I'll just try to draw it here. Yes, yes. So you already know कि बेटा we have the left atrium. We have the left atrium. Now you already know from the left atrium, like we have one valve, that is the bicuspid valve or the mitral valve, and then we have the left ventricle. Then we have the left ventricle, and from the left ventricle there is origin of the aorta. There is origin of the aorta, right? And between the left ventricle and the aorta there is a valve. Can you name this valve, Peter, that I'm drawing? So yes, can you name this valve which I have drawn just right now between the left ventricle and the aorta? Between the left ventricle and the aorta. So yes, चलो फटाफट से बता दो. And from the left ventricle we have this aorta. Now aorta starting में कैसी होती है? Ascending होती है. Ascending aorta होती है, ऊपर जा रही है. फिर it is forming an arch. फिर ये क्या बनाती है? आर्च. एक यू शेप्ड आर्च बनाती है और फिर ये नीचे जा रही है. So we have actually three parts of the aorta, you can say: ascending aorta, arch of aorta and descending aorta. Okay, semilunar valve तो ठीक है, अनुष्का रॉय हेटलर फन मोड. इट इज aortic valve बेटा. सेमिल्यूनर तो फिर पल्मोनरी valve भी हो गई ना. सेमिल्यूनर तो फिर पल्मोनरी valve भी हो गई. सो व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस? हाउ टू डिफरेंशिएट? तो दिस इज द aortic valve बेटा. aorta के नीचे aortic valve हो गई, ठीक है. या इट इज अ टाइप ऑफ अ सेमिल्यूनर valve. तो aorta के नीचे तो यस इट इज द aortic valve, ठीक है, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. तो असेंडिंग आर्च ऑफ आयोटा. और आर्च ऑफ आयोटा से आप लोगों को पता है तीन ब्रांचेस निकलती हैं. आर्च ऑफ आयोटा से वी हैव द थ्री ब्रांचेस. फटाफट से इन तीनों ब्रांचेस के नाम बता दो जल्दी से. आर्च ऑफ आयोटा से वी हैव द थ्री ब्रांचेस. ओके, हाँ. चल, नाउ बेटा रिमेंबर दिस इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट बेटा. Now let us suppose that this is the diaphragm. Let us suppose this is the diaphragm और डायफ्राम के नीचे. Now this is a single iota. तो सबसे पहले क्या आता है? थोरैक्स आता है. Yes, Anushka, very good. Brachiocephalic trunk, the left subclavian and the left common carotid artery. Very good. Manish Singh, very good बेटा, very good. So remember guys कि डायफ्राम से ऊपर वाला पार्ट, ओके, जो आयोटा का है, डिसेंडिंग आयोटा जस्ट अबव द लेवल ऑफ द डायफ्राम. ओके, जस्ट अबव द लेवल ऑफ द डायफ्राम. This is called as the thoracic aorta. This is the thoracic aorta. And below the level of the diaphragm, we have the abdominal aorta. Yes, Garima, Dimple, Hitler, Jayashri, Abhi, very good beta, very good. I'm like very happy that you guys are understanding the concepts and learning. So ये सबको क्लियर हो गया कि डायफ्राम से अगर ऊपर वाला आयोटा है, ओके, although it is descending iota only, but above the diaphragm it will be thoracic aorta and below the diaphragm it will be abdominal aorta. So this is something like a very small picture that has to be clear in your mind, right? Now abdominal aorta, if we simply say the extent beta, the extent of the abdominal aorta, it is from T12 to L4. क्वेश्चन पूछा जाता है एक्सटेंट ऑफ द एब्डोमिनल आयोटा. It is from T12 to T12 to L4. ये बहुत जरूरी है. आप लोग को डायग्राम बना के मेरे साथ एक बार प्रैक्टिस कर लो. There will be many changes that I will do. Yes. Now guys, let us just try to draw the abdominal aorta over here. Now we already know the diaphragm has two crusts. The left crust and the right crust of the diaphragm is there. And in between there is an opening. Can anyone tell me the name of the opening beta? Left crust and right crust के बीच में there is an opening in the diaphragm, and through that opening this aorta is coming down. I just want to know the name of the opening if you know guys. I just want to know the name of the opening. Yes, Anushka, very good beta. It is the aortic hiatus. Very good beta. I'm like so happy that you all are like understanding it. So yes, we have this. Yes. So I'm just trying to draw it more conveniently, guys. Yeah. So remember that this is the right side of the body and this is the left side of the body. Try to draw along with me. Try to draw along with me. Everyone is right, right? So this is the, yes, we have the right crus of the diaphragm. I'll just write it nicely. So, yes. Right crus of diaphragm. And over here, we have the left crus of the diaphragm. Left crus of the diaphragm. Now, in between the right crus and the left crus of the diaphragm, there is an opening beta. There is an opening, and if you just want me, draw that opening also, I'll just try to draw it. Okay, and that is something which is referred to as the aortic hiatus. And that is something which is referred to as the aortic hiatus. And through this opening, the aorta is coming down. Okay, through this opening, the aorta, it is coming down. Now, this opening over here, okay, this opening over here, it is termed as the aortic hiatus. Or I'll just write it nicely. This opening is termed as the aortic hiatus. Okay, aortic hiatus. Yes. Now, better remember that this is the abdominal aorta, right? This is the abdominal aorta. Abdominal aorta will give many branches. It will give many branches. And remember, beta, at the lower border of the L4, okay, at the lower border of the L4, it will divide into two beta. Now you are going to tell me at the lower border of L4, I have already discussed this in detail also. It is dividing into two. It is dividing into two. Tell me the name of these two branches, the terminal branches, beta. Okay, and these two terminal branches will, okay, this will again divide. Yes, this will again divide. So yeah, it is dividing, and these terminal branches will again divide. Chal, I'm waiting for your answers, everyone. So yes, now this is something which I have drawn for you people. So you should remember, guys. Yes, it is the common iliac artery. Beta, right side dekho. Right side. I'll just try to name it over here. I will try to name it over here only. Beta. So the right side over here, it is the right common iliac artery. We have the right common iliac artery. Okay. Yes, everyone is right. Everyone is right. So I'm like a bit busy in drawing, so I'm not taking your names, but everyone is right. I'm just like going through the comments also. And we have the left common iliac artery. बेटा जब पेल्विस स्टार्ट करूंगा तो मैं इलियाक आर्टरीज बोलूंगा तो बिल्कुल कंफ्यूज नहीं होना है, ठीक है, उसमें बिल्कुल कंफ्यूज नहीं होना. So we have the left common iliac artery, okay, right common iliac artery and the left common iliac artery. Now, lower border of L5, okay, the lower border of L5, these common iliac arteries will again divide into, okay, they will again divide into the right, हाँ, तो ये वाला जो बेटा डायग्राम हो जाएगा, so you should know that it is the right external iliac artery, right external iliac artery, and this one, it will be the left, sorry, yeah, it will be the right only, right, yeah, right internal iliac artery. Same ways goes from here also, like it will be left internal iliac artery and the left external iliac artery. I hope this picture is clear right now. So you should remember बेटा. I hope this picture, ये नीचे वाला पोर्शन क्लियर हो गया है. फिर मैं ब्रांचेस बताना स्टार्ट करूंगा. So remember बेटा. Now this is dividing at a level. Okay, this is dividing. This iota is dividing at a level, and this common iliac artery, it is also dividing at a level. Okay, this is also dividing at a vertebral level. The vertebral level पता होना भी बहुत जरूरी है. This vertebral level you guys should know. I hope this is clear to everyone. Okay, so yes, so it is the lower border of L5 where this is happening. So remember, it is the lower border of L5, sorry, L4. Okay, the lower border of the L4, right, where the iota, okay, the iota divides into right and left common iliac artery. Okay, right and left common iliac artery. And yes, this beta, it is the lower border of L5. Okay, the common iliac artery, the common iliac artery divides into external iliac artery and internal iliac artery. The external iliac artery and the internal iliac artery. तो ये चीजें पता चल गई. अभी लोअर वाला पोर्शन क्लियर है. सो अभी तक मैंने एब्डोमिनल आयोटा की कौन सी ब्रांचेस बताई आपको? टर्मिनल ब्रांचेस. आई हैव जस्ट टॉक्ड अबाउट द टर्मिनल ब्रांचेस ऑफ द एब्डोमिनल आयोटा. Okay, we have just talked about the terminal branches of the abdominal aorta. Right? I hope this is clear. Yeah. Bifurcation, हाँ ऐसे भी लिख लो यार, मैंने थोड़ा सा और लंबा चौड़ा करके लिख दिया है. I hope this is clear, everyone. Yes, Angel Matthew says yes, it is clear, sir. Now, I have talked about the terminal branches. So, now I will talk about the yes, Angel Matthews, Kriti, Anushka, very good, very good, very good, very good, everyone. चलिए, चलो. Now बेटा, अब हम लोग बात करते हैं एंटीरियर ब्रांचेस की. ठीक है। एंटीरियर का मतलब होता है आगे की तरफ। नाउ व्हेन आई से एंटीरियर बेटा, ओवर हियर iota is posteriorly, like it is the dorsal abdominal iota. Now it is giving the branches anteriorly. तो anteriorly उसको क्या मिलेगा? What it will get anteriorly? Organs, stomach, pancreas, spleen, right? Liver, the duodenum. Okay. So actually, the anterior branches are also called as the visceral branches. Now, when I say visceral branches, बेटा, visceral का मतलब होता है organs, internal organs. Obviously बात है, aorta तो dorsally located है. Remember embryology बेटा, मैंने हमेशा कहा embryology को connect करो यहाँ पे. Embryology में हमें पहले पता था dorsal is मतलब aorta is dorsal, right? तो aorta भी dorsal है, तो dorsal ही है, और it is giving the branches in front. आगे की तरफ branches दे रही है. आगे वाली ब्रांचेस को नाम क्या देंगे? एंटीरियर ब्रांचेस, एंड दीज ब्रांचेस आर सप्लाइंग द ऑर्गन्स, एंड दीज ऑर्गन्स आर समथिंग व्हिच इज द विसरल ऑर्गन्स. विसरल मतलब इंटरनल, अंदर है ऑर्गन, स्टमक, पेनक्रियास, ये सब अंदर है. सो दीज विल एक्चुअली सप्लाई द ऑर्गन्स. एंड रिमेंबर दैट वी हैव थ्री ब्रांचेस, द मेन anterior three branches are there, and if you can name these guys, it will be like piece of cake for me also. Yes, this is one of the branch. Okay. यस, फोरकट, हाइंडकट एंड मिडकट मिलेगा. वेरी गुड. ठीक है, हाँ बेटा बिल्कुल सही है. ठीक है, बिल्कुल सही है, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. वी हैव द सेकंड ब्रांच. ये आगे की तरफ आ रहा है तो बेटा आई कैन नॉट ड्रॉ लाइक, तो और ये थर्ड ब्रांच, तो ये इस तरीके से आप इसको दिखा सकते हैं. सो नाउ writing all the three branches beta, this branch, it is the celiac trunk. We have the celiac trunk. Then we have the superior mesenteric artery. The superior mesenteric artery is also called as SMA, the superior mesenteric artery. And we have the inferior mesenteric artery. Inferior mesenteric artery, that is the IMA. So we have celiac trunk, superior mesenteric artery, and the inferior mesenteric artery. Beta, ये diagram is not completed yet. I have to draw a lot of things, but before that, साथ में notes भी डालते जाएंगे. Because I believe कि लिखना भी बहुत जरूरी है diagram के साथ साथ. So you remember we have the three anterior or visceral branches. I will again come to the diagram. But नीचे notes डालते रहिए. ठीक है, the three anterior or the visceral branches. The very first one, it is the celiac trunk. Okay. Then we have the superior mesenteric artery. And the third one, we have the inferior mesenteric artery. Now, the celiac trunk basically supplies the foregut. The superior mesenteric artery supplies the midgut, and the inferior mesenteric artery supplies the hindgut. Roy already said this, and already I have told you that when we say foregut, midgut, and hindgut, how do we divide it? Actually, it is divided on these branches only. They only have like this aortic division. Okay, celiac trunk only to the foregut, superior mesenteric artery to foregut, and inferior mesenteric artery to the hindgut. बेटा मैंने बताया था फोरगट कहां से स्टार्ट होगा और कहां पे एंड होगा, फटाफट से चैट बॉक्स के अंदर लिख दो. मिडगट विल स्टार्ट फ्रॉम विच पार्ट एंड इट विल एंड इनटू विच पार्ट, एंड हाइंडगट विल स्टार्ट फ्रॉम विच पार्ट एंड विल एंड इनटू विच पार्ट. ये भी मुझे बताना है आप लोग को. ठीक है, ये फटाफट से चैट बॉक्स के अंदर थोड़ी सी मेहनत करो और टाइपिंग करो जल्दी से, क्योंकि मैंने पूरा एम्ब्रियोलॉजी में बता दिया. सेकेंड, आई हैव ऑलरेडी डिस्कस्ड अबाउट द टर्मिनल ब्रांचेस ऑल्सो, तो टर्मिनल ब्रांचेस के का भी नोट डाल दो, टर्मिनल ब्रांचेस का भी नोट डाल दो, टर्मिनल ब्रांचेस का भी नोट डाल दो. यू ऑलरेडी नो दैट या we have the lower border of L4, lower border of L4. So aorta bifurcates, and divides into, okay, right common iliac artery and left common iliac artery, right? And at lower border of, हाँ, Anushka, stomach to two-third part of the duodenum? Nah, no. Stomachs and lower border of L5, this common iliac artery divides, starts from the gastroesophageal junction to the duodenojejunal flexure. कौन सा वाला part? Foregut. बेटा इसमें भी बेटा रॉय, यू हैव टू बी वेरी मच पर्टिकुलर अबाउट द टर्म कि यहाँ पे भी मेजर ड्यूडनल पैपिले है विच ओपन्स इनटू द सेकंड पार्ट ऑफ द ड्यूडनम. मैंने बताया था मेजर ड्यूडनल पैपिले तक ही हम लोग उसको फोरगट बोलते हैं. उसके बाद वाला जो पार्ट है, द रिमेनिंग डिस्टल पार्ट ऑफ द सेकंड पार्ट ऑफ द ड्यूडनम, इट विल कम अंडर मिडगट, है ना. फिर जेजेनम इलियम, ठीक है, सेकंड पार्ट ऑफ द ड्यूडनम. वेरी गुड, वेरी गुड. CAIA डिवाइड्स इनटू द external iliac artery and the internal iliac artery. तो ये सब मैंने डायग्राम में पहले ही लिखवा दिया, इसी डायग्राम को बस मैंने रेप्लिकेट किया जितना लिखवाया है. तो मैंने एंटीरियर ब्रांचेस बता दिए और टर्मिनल ब्रांचेस बता दिए. एंटीरियर ब्रांचेस बता दिए गए हैं, टर्मिनल ब्रांचेस बता दिए हैं. या ड्यूडेनल पैपिले. वेरी गुड फन मोड, वेरी गुड फन मोड. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट, नाउ बेटा, हाँ, वेरी गुड बेटा. नाउ बेटा, कमिंग ऑन टू द yeah, other branches. Now when we say the lateral abdominal wall branches, now beta we have 5 lateral abdominal wall branches. Okay, 5 lateral abdominal wall branches. Now beta जब मैं abdominal wall बोलता हूँ, yes, everyone is right. तो चलो इसको पहले थोड़ा सा लिख लेते हैं और फिर मैं डायग्राम में भी बताऊंगा. The third, it is the 5 lateral abdominal wall branches, 5 lateral abdominal wall branches. And you already know that we have like 2 over here. We have inferior phrenic artery, arteries, that is, and the 4 lumbar arteries. Okay, 4 pair actually I would say of the lumbar arteries. And remember guys, inferior phrenic arteries, the right and the left one, it is the first branch of the abdominal aorta. It is the first branch of abdominal aorta. And I want every one of you to tell me beta phrenic. Phrenic means it will supply which particular part. Phrenic means it will supply which particular part. So let us now just draw it in the diagram. So it is coming directly from the abdominal aorta. So yes, diaphragm, very good. Diaphragm, yes. So beta, you can easily see that it is supplying the diaphragm. So I'm making this over here, and you already know the diaphragm is one of the walls of the abdominal wall. Okay, so abdominal cavity, so it is surrounded by the diaphragm. The diaphragm forms the roof, right? That's why beta, that's why इसको मैंने नाम दिया है एब्डोमिनल वॉल ब्रांचेस. कैविटी की बात नहीं कर रहा हूं, वॉल की बात कर रहा हूं. तो डायफ्राम मैंने स्टार्टिंग में बताया था बेसिक्स में वो क्या बनाता है, दैट इज फॉर्मिंग द रूफ. तो इसलिए हम इसको बोलते हैं एब्डोमिनल वॉल. अब दूसरा मैंने बताया लुम्बार आर्टरीज. सॉरी lumbar arteries है, तो lumbar arteries anyways will supply the lumbar vertebra, और lumbar vertebra it is the part of the posterior abdominal wall. अभी मैंने बताया था it is the part of the posterior abdominal wall. So you guys are very well aware. So we have these lumbar arteries. Okay, so yes, we have these lumbar arteries and they are supplying the posterior abdominal wall wala part. They are supplying the posterior abdominal wall. So you have to be very much sure about this, right? So yes. So yes, these are the lumbar arteries. These are the lumbar arteries. And this one, beta, this one, you already know. I am just trying to write it over here only. It is the inferior phrenic artery. Inferior phrenic artery. So it is supplying to the diaphragm and the lower end of the esophagus. It supplies diaphragm plus lower end of esophagus also. Lower end of esophagus also. I hope till now this picture is clear. I hope till now this picture is clear. So we have discussed the visceral branches, the lateral abdominal wall branches, and the terminal branches. Now we will discuss. एक थम्स अप दे दो जल्दी से चैट बॉक्स में, एक थम्स अप दे दो जल्दी से चैट बॉक्स में बेटा. यस, कितना क्लियर हो गया? सो दैट आई कैन स्टार्ट विद द नेक्स्ट वन. नाउ चलो, डिम्पल डी, वेरी गुड बेटा, वेरी गुड. अब पहले अगर तुम चाहो तो मैं तुम्हें लिखवा भी दूं. द फोर्थ वन दैट आई विल टॉक अबाउट राइट नाउ, इट इज द, या इट इज द थ्री lateral visceral branches. Visceral branches. नाउ बेटा, अब विसरल बोल रहा हूं, विसरल का मतलब क्या होता है? इंटरनल. तो इंटरनल मतलब इंटरनल ऑर्गन्स को सप्लाई करेगा, ऑर्गन्स की इंटरनल. मैंने पहले बोला देखो दोनों लेटरल है, लुम्बार आर्टरीज भी और फ्रेनिक आर्टरीज भी लेटरल है, और जो भी आर्टरीज लिखूंगा वो भी लेटरल होंगी. बट व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस गाइस? वन इज सप्लाइंग द एब्डोमिनल वॉल, डायफ्राम फॉर्म्स द रूफ ऑफ द एब्डोमिनल वॉल, आई मीन द रूफ ऑफ द एब्डोमिनल कैविटी. Okay, and when I say visceral beta, it will supply the organs, it will supply the organs. So you should know when I say, so we have, yeah, three lateral visceral branches. So we have the middle supra renal artery. So we have the middle supra renal artery, we have the renal artery, and we have the testicular or ovarian artery. Kabhi kabar they will give like gonadal artery. So gonadal, in males it is the testicular artery, and in females it is the, yeah, it is the ये वाला पार्ट जो है, ठीक है, ओवेरियन आर्टरी. ओके, तो चलो इसको ड्रॉ करके देखते हैं, क्योंकि अब तीनों ही ऑर्गन्स का आ गया ना बेटा. रीनल का मतलब हो गया किडनी हो गई, सुप्रा रीनल एड्रिनल ग्लैंड्स की बात हो गई, और ओवरीज और टेस्टिस, दीज आर ऑल इंटरनल ऑर्गन्स. और ये क्योंकि लेटरली लोकेटेड है, तो लेटरल ब्रांचेस ही है, बट दे आर विसरल. विसरल मींस दे आर कन्फाइंड टू द ऑर्गन. बट व्हेन आई से एब्डोमिनल वॉल, it simply means the walls of the abdominal cavity. Posterior wall formed by the lumbar vertebra, the lumbar arteries, right? तो चलो इन दोनों में क्लियर हो गया, तो इसको फटाफट से बना लेते, डायग्राम में इंक्लूड कर लेते हैं. ठीक है, डायग्राम में इंक्लूड कर लेते हैं इसको. चलो, तो यू ऑलरेडी नो. सो फर्स्टली आई विल ड्रॉ द किडनीज. Okay, firstly I will try to draw the kidneys over here, right? Okay, kidneys हो गए. और इन्हीं किडनीज को जो सप्लाई कर रहा है. So you are very well aware that the artery supplying the kidney, it is the renal artery. Okay, it is the renal artery. So it is the lateral branch only, and this is actually the renal artery. So yes, this is the renal artery. अब renal artery. और इसी किडनी के ऊपर बेटा, इसी किडनी के ऊपर you will find the suprarenal glands. Okay, the suprarenal glands. और इसको मैं कुछ इस तरीके से बनाने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ. So I'm just trying to draw like this, the suprarenal glands. ये दोनों जगह प्रेजेंट होगा, उधर I cannot like make it. ठीक है, यहाँ पे भी प्रेजेंट होगा. तो एक तरफ मैं बता रहा हूँ, एक तरफ मैं बता रहा हूँ. So yes, now when I say middle suprarenal artery, now when I say middle suprarenal artery, it will supply the mid portion of this, and it is coming directly from the aorta, the middle suprarenal artery, the middle suprarenal artery. So yes, this is okay. I'll just write it over here so that it doesn't create a mess over here. So this is the middle मतलब बीच वाला. Suprarenal, supra मतलब renal के ऊपर, suprarenal artery. इन्हीं किडनीज के ऊपर we have a gland, right? Suprarenal glands बोलते हैं, renal glands बोलते हैं. So obviously the middle part, it is supplied by the middle suprarenal artery, and it is a direct branch of the aorta. Now my question is तो superior और inferior कहाँ से आ रही है? Superior और inferior कहाँ से आ रही है? So beta remember, the superior suprarenal artery, the superior suprarenal artery, it is coming from the inferior phrenic artery. तो ये है superior suprarenal artery, SSRA. ये मैं अलग से लिखवाऊंगा अभी, ये मैं लिखवाऊंगा अभी, SSRA, superior suprarenal artery. It's not a direct branch from the aorta, it is coming from the inferior phrenic artery. It is coming from the inferior phrenic artery. It is coming from the inferior phrenic artery. Okay, and remember beta, I don't have another color also. So yes, one branch, the inferior, it is coming from the middle, the renal artery. It is coming from the renal artery, and this is termed as the inferior suprarenal artery. The inferior suprarenal artery. Inferior suprarenal artery, it is coming from, yes, subphrenic artery. Yes, inferior. Jayashree Roy, very good beta, very good. So yes, I have just drawn it over here. The inferior suprarenal artery, it is coming from here. So if you just want to mention it over here, you can just mention it over here. So remember beta, the superior suprarenal artery, the superior suprarenal artery, it is coming from the inferior phrenic artery. It is coming from the inferior phrenic artery, right? It is coming from the inferior phrenic artery. The middle suprarenal artery, it is coming directly from the aorta, है ना? Middle suprarenal artery, it is coming directly from aorta, and the inferior suprarenal artery, it is coming from, yeah, it is a branch of renal artery. Okay, it is branch of renal artery. It is coming from the renal artery. It is coming from the renal artery. It is coming from the renal artery. Is it clear बेटा? फटाफट से एक थम्स अप दे दो कि ये समझ में आ गया कि ये जो किडनी वाला जो था, किडनी को तो डायरेक्ट सप्लाई कर रही है रीनल आर्टरी, बट जो सुप्रारीनल ग्लैंड्स है, तो वी हैव द सुपीरियर सुप्रारीनल आर्टरी कमिंग फ्रॉम द इंफीरियर वन, द मिडल कमिंग फ्रॉम द aorta directly, and the inferior coming from, it's a branch of the renal artery. It is a branch of the renal artery. ठीक है, चल, परफेक्ट परफेक्ट, ये हो गया. तो यस, डिम्पल डी सेज यस सर इट्स क्लियर. मनीष एंचल, वेरी गुड बेटा, वेरी गुड. अभी वेरी गुड बेटा. चलो आदित्य, गरिमा, वेरी गुड. I'm like waiting for everyone to put a thumbs up so that it's like visible that I'm not teaching the walls. Avinash Sharma, okay, you are the new one over here today. Anushka, okay, perfect. चल, अब लास्ट जो रह गया बेटा, लास्ट जो अब रह गया है उसको ध्यान से देखें. Now there is one posterior branch, okay, there is one posterior branch, okay, that is called as the median sacral artery, okay. So we have the posterior branch, okay, and it is along the midline. Midline में कौन सी bone होती है बेटा? You already know in the midline which bone is present. Which bone is present? We have the sacrum bone, ठीक है ना? L5 के नीचे से आ रही है, ठीक है? तो obviously बात है कि it is like on the posterior side only. So that is something which is called as the median sacral artery. So yes, it is the posterior branch. You have to remember it, that it is the median sacral artery. It is the median sacral artery, and that you have to remember it. The fifth one, okay, I'll write it over here only. We have the median sacral artery. Okay, the median sacral artery, that is the posterior branch beta. That is the posterior branch. Okay, that is the posterior branch. Posterior हो गया lateral visceral, lateral abdominal wall, anterior visceral and terminal branches. Anterior visceral and terminal branches. अच्छा हाँ, ओके, मैं वो हाँ गोनाडल आर्टरीज बनाना भूल गया. सो या ओके, सरिष्ठा ने याद दिलाया. सो यस सरिष्ठा, आई draw it for you. Yeah, I just forgot to draw it, and you guys will draw along with me. So you are very well aware. Yes, sacrum वाला part. चल, वेरी गुड सरिष्ठा. तो यहाँ पे एक लाइन और ऐसी प्यारी सी खींच दो and just mention it. We have this testicular or ovarian artery. Testicular or ovarian artery, and in other terms it is called as the gonadal arteries. तीन हो गई ना, तीन branches हो गई, right? In other terms it is like the gonadal arteries. Testicular artery or ovarian artery, we have the lateral visceral branch, they are supplying to the testis and the ovary, okay. Renal artery and middle suprarenal artery. So yes, सबको चलो फटाफट से एक बार हाईलाइट कर लेते हैं, फटाफट से इसको एक बार रिवाइज कर लेते हैं जल्दी से. तो when I'm saying the anterior branch, तो anterior आप लोग को पता है superior mesenteric artery, the celiac trunk and the inferior mesenteric artery. ये तीन डॉट्स दिख रहे हैं आप लोगों को, है ना? तीन जो डॉट्स दिख रहे हैं आप लोगों को, यू कैन वेरी वेल सी आगे की तरफ जा रहे, तो इनको मैंने एक डॉट के फॉर्म में दिखाया है. दीज आर आल्सो आर्टरी, सीलियाक ट्रंक, सुपीरियर मेसेंट्रिक, इंफीरियर मेसेंट्रिक. टर्मिनल वाली हो ही गई थी डिस्कस डिटेल में. नाउ कमिंग ऑन टू द लेटरल ब्रांचेस बेटा. लेटरल में सबसे पहले आपको याद रखना है, वी हैव द लुम्बार आर्टरी सप्लाइंग द वॉल्स. ओके, वॉल्स में पोस्टीरियर एब्डोमिनल वॉल में कौन सी वर्टिब्रा आ रही है? लुम्बार वर्टिब्रा. सो ऑब्वियसली दिस आर द एब्डोमिनल वॉल branches, wall को supply कर रही है. So lateral, and we have the yes, this one, that is the inferior phrenic artery. ये वाली जो है दोनों inferior phrenic arteries and the lumbar arteries, they are अब inferior phrenic artery तो diaphragm को supply करे, तो diaphragm is the wall of the abdomen. Yes, it forms the roof of the abdomen. It forms the roof of the abdomen. Okay. उसके बाद हम लोग को पता है कि अगर हम lateral visceral branches की बात करें, so we have the we have three main branches. renal हो गई, ठीक है. The middle suprarenal artery, and we have the testicular or ovarian artery. But अगर specifically मैं suprarenal gland को देखूं, तो it is having three blood supply. So middle suprarenal artery, it is coming from the aorta directly. The superior suprarenal artery, it is coming from the inferior phrenic artery, and the inferior suprarenal artery, it is coming from the renal artery. Only the middle one, it is the direct branch from the aorta. The superior one from the phrenic artery, and the inferior one from the renal artery. I hope this picture is clear to everyone, along with the notes that I have already made you write, like these 5 points. फटाफट से एक thumbs up दे दो बेटा chat box में that this particular picture is clear to everyone. चलो, जयश्री, अनुष्का, एंजल, गरिमा, साई कृष्णा, डिंपल, मनीष, फन मोड. ओके बेटा, परफेक्ट. सरिष्ठा, आदित्य, अभी वेरी गुड बेटा. I hope I have made the concepts clear to everyone. Every one of you. So yes, Avinash Sharma, yes, I hope everything is like clear, conceptual clarity is there, whatever we have discussed. So tomorrow I will be discussing about the other branches, the celiac trunk, the superior mesenteric artery, and the inferior mesenteric artery in detail, guys. In detail. When I say in detail, I will draw huge, big diagrams for you, like what we have discussed today, right? So I want every one of you to like attend the session at 5 p.m. tomorrow in the evening with full energy, right? I hope everyone is maintaining a notebook. So yes, your notebooks will be the only ideal source for your revision at the end. So kindly prepare the notes simultaneously. The more you draw, the more you write, the more you will retain in your minds, right? So it's always advisable to know, write along with me, draw the diagrams along with me, and try to retain maximum stuff at that point only. Okay. Try to retain the maximum stuff. Anakala, Aditya, very good. So today we have discussed the anterior abdominal wall muscles like internal oblique muscle, transverse abdominis, rectus abdominis, and pyramidalis. Posterior, we have discussed shortly about the lumbar vertebra, the features, and the posterior abdominal wall muscles, iliacus, psoas major, psoas minor, okay, and Quadratus Lumborum. Along with that, I have discussed the actions of the anterior abdominal wall muscles. Apart from that, we have focused our discussion on this abdominal aorta. All the branches I have like mentioned, and I want every one of you, yeah, to do write your feedback after the class in the comment section, right? So yeah, please share with your friends. Yeah, like it will be helpful for them also. Share the video as much as possible, beta. Okay, चल कल मिलते हैं, ठीक है. कल दोबारा मिलेंगे, मुलाकात होगी कल दोबारा हमारी 5 बजे 5 o'clock. और फिर कुछ तुम अपनी बातें कहना, कुछ मैं अपनी कहूंगा, एंड यूं ही कारवां चलता रहेगा, ठीक है. पोस्टीरियर एब्डोमिनल वॉल बेटा 4 मसल्स पड़ी थी ना, क्वाड्राटस लुम्बोरम, psoas मेजर, psoas माइनर और हाँ इलियाकस, ठीक है. तो उसमें तुम्हें बस वर्टेब्रल लेवल्स याद रखने हैं, L1, L2, L3, L4, और इनके क्या कहते हैं नर्व सप्लाई याद रखने हैं, ठीक है. बाकी यू कैन गो थ्रू द वीडियो वंस, राइट. चलिए ठीक, बाय बेटा.